Hello. Good morning. I want to say to you that if you right now are in the course of being subjected to Nazi thuggery, I support you. Last year, around this time, actually a little before this time, there had been some announcements of people identifying themselves as targeted individuals. I held off in actually acknowledging myself as such because I was concerned that it was actually some form of machination, an attempt to dispossess people of their property, including their intangible property, in order to use it in some sort of lending program for others, up to and including others involved as state actors in other countries, potentially even countries that would have been sanctioned by the United States or would have been accused of some sort of offense that could have justified sanction. And that certain people who actually were very productive and were capable of contributing a great deal to not only the domestic but the international economy on their own terms, and or may even be very beneficial political leadership, were being specifically identified and compelled to participate in some sort of ritual of declaring themselves as a targeted individual, so that then they would make these videos. And that they're actually using these videos both as some sort of alleged energy paradigm, but also as a form of finance for other people. Now, I've made a lot of videos, a lot of videos. Some of them are better than others, and I know that. And prior to that, I was the kind of person that was actually very reticent to even get my picture taken. I've always had this different relationship with the realm of the visual presentation. I prefer conversations and the written word. However, I don't regret anything that I did, and I've done what I can to keep backups because a number of the videos I made have been altered by somebody else. Sometimes it's just a slight alteration, a word here, a word there, but often what they do is they mess with the metrics. They mess with the numbers. They want a different number to be teared to that specific video. And what they've done is they've left a more than year long trail of evidence. I'm in a situation where right now I'm being put into a sort of local extortion. The last time I went downtown to the library after it opened on May 4th, I noticed that the library downtown Dallas was similar to the library in Garland. The library in Garland has been open pretty much the whole time, but for several months, one was not allowed to look on the actual shelves of the nonfiction section. For whatever reason, fiction was available, but nonfiction, well, you had to provide information about what you wanted to a staff, and then the staff went and got it and brought it to you. Well, at some point, they opened up the stacks, and I was verklempt. I was overwhelmed. I was disappointed. They began culling the shelves. Each shelf was a half stack. It was as if they literally went through and culled 50% per shelf. And so if you saw before what was there and then you went back and saw what they left, it was very obvious that there was a political project at work. There were certain kinds of history and certain kinds of practical knowledge they did not want you to know existed. It was as if you were just supposed to forget and let it move on and move on. Well, after they opened the library on May 4th downtown in Dallas, they did something similar, but more harrowing. You see, the library in downtown Dallas is both the repository of genealogical records, and it's also the first floor is since 2017 when it moved from across the street at City Hall to the library. The repository for the vital records. If you need a birth certificate or a marriage or a death certificate, if you need to interface with the official state records, you go to the first floor of the library downtown. When I went through what they had at the library, I was devastated. I was furious. They got rid of all of the legal books. Actual official legal books. Please understand, that did not belong to the library. It didn't even belong to the city. And to be honest with you, it doesn't even belong to the state of Texas. We're talking about federal government records. They just cleared them out. Now, if it was the sort of thing where Texas had gone through a process where it seceded And because those were official government records of a foreign government, there was some sort of relationship that had to be established. And then there was a different kind of government repository for the government records of a foreign government. But that's not what this was. You could tell when you went up to the genealogical library and you saw what was allowed to remain and how you were allowed to access it, and how those staff members that had all that time had been specifically and strategically misfiling. I know what it's like. I used to work in a library. I used to be a young person. I used to work in a library. I used to be in a community where my recreational activities were my own business. And were actually a very important part of the local economy. Especially if you had some political capacity to engage in an effort to try to change laws so that, those unjust laws weren't following you into your social sphere. I was specifically devastated because that day I was trying to look things up online and they kept pinging me to a specific reference point. And I tracked the transaction they were running on me that day. And it was incredibly, highly, grotesquely anti-Semitic. And I knew, so I got what I could. Presumably you can renew. Well, they've been doing this thing where they did a call. And there's actually no actual real justification for calling every book. For saying every book you've checked out is due. You need to return every book you've checked out. There's absolutely no justification for that. What it is more in line with this charade they started under the auspices of the Commission for the Holocaust and the Genocide. For some reason, playing Holocaust games and genocide games in Texas is part of some ceremony. And, there were actually genocidal moments in Texas. There's actually a very specific history regarding intercession with the Spanish, with the Mexicans, with the indigenous people. There's also a very, very significant history, for instance, of German immigrants to Texas that were involved in treaty relationships. But they aren't interested in these ceremonies with their own history. They like to go extreme. Holocaust gambling is an extreme sport in Texas. And because they've been able to get away with it with impunity for years, including during the year of 2019, when the Commission on Holocaust and Genocide was put up for sunset review by the legislature. And what did they do? Look at the changes to the law. Look at the changes to the pension law. Look at the changes to the education law. During the year, the Commission on Holocaust and Genocide was before sunset review in the state of Texas. Nobody said anything. Does COVID-19 have anything to do with the fact that people in Texas, including those claiming that they represent the people through a form of governance, does COVID-19 have anything to do with those people playing Holocaust and genocide games? Yes, it does. It also has to do with the fact that for more than 15 years, nobody has prosecuted an alleged governor that codified a secret commission under his purview using nanotechnology in the stead of small business development. Right now, I am told that I owe nearly $900 in overdue library fees. Most of the books I have are on the Supreme Court, or what remained of the law. The actual legal books are reference books. You have to be on site to use them. Well, they got rid of those books. They also got rid of the books regarding any sort of standards when it came to industrial development, including and especially in relationship to the energy sector. There's a number of other collections. They're just gone. I already told you I'm not returning the books, and I don't owe that money. Every day you try to charge me, you know what that tells me? You got the Jew, and we know it. You got the Jew with you. And we're going to tax you every fucking day until you bring the Jew in. Yes, you know. You know you're going to bring the Jew in, and we're going to destroy it. Nobody needs that book. That book was on loan. You were supposed to get the Jew to pay. Now you're hiding the Jew. You need to bring the Jew in because we need to destroy it. That's exactly what this is. Every single fucking day, they send some bullshit message to my inbox. Every day I wake up with somebody else's debt in the background. I hear you. I hear what you're trying to get somebody else to cover up. I'm sorry. I don't think you're going to dispatch members of local or federal law enforcement to come and take my Jews into custody so you can take them downtown to a bunch of people committing crime and getting paid for it under the auspices of working at a library. I don't think you're going to do that. So, just so you know, absolutely fucking not, under any circumstances, am I going to fall for or participate in this ritual of complete slander against anybody that has anything close to a conscience. You went too far. You went too far. By the way, I found exactly, even though you will not yourselves, it seems, allow for your people, the people you use as collateral, to finance, and literally you do. Literally. You use your own people. You traffic your own people for your city job. I found all the evidence I needed last night. And because of my Jews, I also found all the evidence I need to know that you are not in any way, shape, or form operating under anything close to constitutional law, constitutional justification, and you don't even have a common law excuse, no matter how much you discount it. Are we clear now? Just don't even try. Every day, you accrue a debt on your own soul when you try to maintain this charade. I apologize. It's just not going to happen.